Welcome back to the UX Design Show, and today I want to get to part 2 of my UX versus Recruiter series. The first part, I talked about how recruiters can be misinformed, which leads to us not really understanding what we're getting into, and it builds bad relationships, honestly, a lot of times when they're advertising something that may or may not be the case, and then we end up turning down what may be a really good job because they were uninformed, therefore they uninformed us. So with that being said, today I wanted to talk a little bit how us as UX professionals can misrepresent ourselves sometimes, and also too, how can we avoid that? And I'm going to talk also too about some of the changes that I've made with my resume just recently, over the last 2 years, so that my case is being made even more clearly. So let's talk about that, right? You get that phone call from the recruiter. They've already seen your resume and they're looking down the list. And for them, depending on who you get, you may get a recruiter, let's say recruiter 8, who's just a box checker. He's like prototyping, yep, wireframes, yep, design programs, yep, a little bit of coding languages, yep. All right, I'm going to submit that guy, you know? And then you have recruiters who know a little bit more about what they're doing. Maybe they've been around for a while, or they just truly understand the field themselves, and they want to know more about you and how you do what you do, right? As a UX designer, they want to know about your process and how you handle certain situations. This is a good thing. This is what we want from our recruiters, but this is how we sometimes misinform them, and they don't know what they're going to be getting from us, which leads them to now passing over our information. Most recruiters will tell you they see a lot of good resumes. They got a lot of good resumes, right? They'll see all of the design skills, the coding languages, and things of that nature. But then we confuse them with some of our work, because you have to remember, they're not the final say-so. The managers and the HR people for that company are. So now when they present our resumes, they say, hey, I have these 10 candidates. Tell me what you think. I vetted them. Let's say this is recruiter A. I've checked all those boxes. Tell us what you think. And they're looking at it like, yeah, this guy can design. This woman, she can do this. This man, he can do that. But we don't see any passion. We don't see their work ethic. They say they can wireframe, but we don't see any wireframes. They say that they know how to do user research and how to put together a user profile, but we don't see any user profiles in their resume. We don't see any of that on their resume, or we don't see that on their websites. We need you to go back and find us some new candidates. And that's on us. That's on us. Here's a simple solution to that. If you're just starting, fake it until you can make it. Let's just be real. Not all of us are going to have all of the experience in the world to satisfy a long list of requirements. But we have to make sure that we provide examples of a little bit of everything to show that we have those skills. No one is no longer taking your word for it because you have it on your resume. You have to better inform the recruiter, who's then going to better inform the employer. So how do you do that? One, take stock of what you're presenting on your portfolio. Are you just presenting beautiful work? Are you just presenting designs that look great? That doesn't really work in the UX field. It'll get you some jobs, but it won't get you the jobs you really want. You have to go beyond that. If you check out my website, uxdesignshow.com, which I use for the show and also too for this, more so for my personal stuff than for the show. I haven't acclimated it just yet. But you'll notice that I've taken out a lot of things that are kind of frivolous. There's no contact page. There is no... I have a few details about myself in particular, but if you notice, I have just a few links, case studies, and design portfolio. And that's very important why I split the two up. I've been doing this for 17 years. Is that right? 2001? Yeah, 17 years. I started working in design a year after I went to school for design. My very first job was at Rolling Out. I was a graphic designer, web designer there, and I went to school for web design. So a lot of times people saw my portfolio just as recent as 4 years ago. They would see all of the beautiful work, and I would get submitted to all of these places. They would see, oh wow, look at all these websites. This guy's, design stuff is great. And then I would get into the interview, and I would talk because I am a UX designer. I'm a UX design lead for TCS. I'm very good at what I do. But my portfolio and my resume did not speak to that. It did not highlight those items. And up until 4 years ago, I was still, because it was working for me, projecting myself as this designer when I needed to be projecting myself as a UX designer. And that's very, very important. So you want to make sure you have user flows, your wireframes, even the sticky notes and the things you scribble down that you sketch in your notepads visibly available to the recruiter, because yes, they can go back to them with the things that you've done and the beautiful work, and you got it all set up and these little templates you find online in Photoshop. That's great, but those things don't get you the positions that you want. You have to present work that showcases your UX talent. So now I want to show you how I present my portfolio now, and also to how I now group all of that together to tell the whole story of every project. It's long, but it's so worth it to the people who really care about that information. So let's get into it. I'm showcasing to you guys how I've redesigned my resume. And the biggest part of this was because earlier, like I said, about 4 years ago, I just wasn't getting a lot of the positions that I knew that I was overly qualified for. But it was partly because I was still selling myself as a designer. So let's get into how I am now better informing recruiters who are our bridges to the companies that we want to work for. So here's the opening page, right? You have just kind of me introducing myself, PlayStation Lover Family Man. You see some of this information. And then we start to get into this part. This was my resume before. Just imagine a portrait style page. It had all this information on it. I had these really elaborate descriptions of what I was doing for each company, and I was allowing those descriptions to speak for me. I was allowing those descriptions to really tell the story of each one of these companies that I work for. And honestly, it wasn't getting it done. It just wasn't getting it done. One of the biggest changes I made is that I've gotten rid of descriptions altogether. I just tell you where I've worked, how long I've worked there, and let that be it. What the position was in particular, and then we're going to move forward. And one of the reasons for that is because I'm going to go into detail by project. I think it's very, it can come off as very disingenuous when you're just showcasing, when you're just giving them this massive description of what you've done versus being able to just give them the whole story. So let's get into that. So this is all very generic. I've kept it very generic. As I talked about before with coding in my last video, things I've prototyped with, wireframes, design skills, so to speak, and then case studies and things of that nature. And that's how I've kind of flipped the scales a little bit in my favor when talking to and informing recruiters about what it is that I do, by making the projects that I want to present as case studies, right? Giving you the full gamut of everything that I've been doing. So let's just start with oversee, which is going to be the first one that comes up. Here you can see I talk about the challenge, I talk about the approach, I talk about what happened with the final product because I was there for the initial launch of it. And then also too, I talk about the impact. I actually had that information. You may or may not have this information for your projects, but if you can give them a taste of this, for a lot of the serious positions that you're going to want, this is the information that they want. It's a little heavy on information, I agree. At the same time, it gives them the meat on the bone. Once that recruiter has checked off all those boxes, when you get to the manager, this is the information they're going to want to know. These are the things that they want to see. So I give you just some snippet previews of kind of what the application looked like. So let's get into the personas. I don't give them necessarily personas, and particularly if I have that information, I will, but I do break down the type of users, what I did day to day, what the users do day to day, their pain points, and the solutions that came out of it. A lot of what we did was on a whiteboard. So of course, sketches, wireframes, all of those things that we put together are here on the from the whiteboard. I took pictures, here they are. People want to know that you're going to be doing the work. The work in UX is all about your collaboration with the users and the company and how you're bridging them together to build the application or the website that you're working on. They want to see that. Here, there's some user flows that I put together, just showcasing, not just saying that I've done user flows, but actually showcasing the user flows that I have. And these are the two main ones that I worked on, even have the names of what we're working on there. Whether they understand it or not, this gives you yet another talking point to explain your process and how you work and how you do things, right? And now, wireframes. Am I going to give them all 600 wireframes that I work on? Absolutely not. But what I will do is give you a few examples of wireframes that I've done for this customer, because that's important for them to see how you work, how you organize your information when you're doing these things. And also too, a lot of what we do is showmanship. They need to be able to see this, and this better informs the recruiter of your skill and what you're able to do, and that you're just not posting things on your resume, but you can actually speak to these items. This is very, very important. And then after giving them all that, now I'm giving you visual design. Now you can see what the final product looks like. Now you can see the result of everything. And this, in my opinion, is a much better way to present yourself as a UX professional, as a UX designer. This is how you want all of your stuff to be. Maybe you have a better presentation, maybe you have better work to show, whatever the case may be. This is how you want people to see you once you make it past the recruiter A, checking off all those boxes. And let's say you get recruiter B. This becomes even more valuable and gives them even more talking points about selling you to that client, because now they can say, look at this guy, look at how he put this together, look at how she put this together. This is very informative. It gives them more insight into that particular project. And then once they want to get to know you better, you can then speak to more aspects that make it even more interesting and more unique. But you know what though? You have now covered all of your bases as to whether or not you are someone who is serious about being a UX professional, someone who is serious about putting in the necessary work and time that it takes to produce quality applications and quality websites. So that's what I wanted to showcase with you guys today. Get beyond having a single page resume. Start to showcase and give more information about the projects that you want to present. Give that information as much as you possibly can, and let that speak for itself, and you will find that you will be turning over more and more of the positions that you want and putting you in a place where you absolutely can thrive and be a better UX professional. So that's it for this video. I just wanted to showcase this with you guys. You can always go to my website and check this stuff out. It's very important that we present ourselves in this way so that we separate ourselves from the rest of the pack. Okay? So that's it. UX versus recruiters. This is how we misinform people by having that single resume and just listing stuff, to where now we're speaking to the power of our work. Thank you so much. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.